Ben Askren just let the entire world down. Hello and welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA podcast number 14. I am Matt Anderson. On the other side of your screen, we have Dorian Rose. How are you doing today after last night's travesties, my man?
Well, last night was a travesty, and then about the last 40 minutes have been a travesty because we just been having issues on my end, of course, with the audio and everything. So now that we got that out of the way, yes, very disappointed about Ben Askren, but man, Jake Paul landed a killer, dude. But we'll get into it, man.
Indeed, we will. So that being said, just like Dorian said, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown on what to look forward to in today's show. So up first on today's show, he just spoke about it, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. We're going to talk about it. We're going to give you our thoughts and opinions. And I'm also going to ask Dorian one question about Triller. He doesn't know what it is yet, but it's a very broad question. He can answer it multiple ways. There's not an issue. And then we will be moving along to what everyone's really here for, our area of expertise, if you will. This past weekend's UFC card, Whittaker versus Kelvin Gaslum. Then we will just be talking about news concerning like the UFC, of course, and MMA fight talk, anything like that. And then this upcoming weekend's fight card, UFC 261. Am I right, Dorian? 261?
Yes.
I keep wanting to think it's 262 for some reason. I have no idea why, but UFC 261. And then lastly, it's Dorian's turn this week. Dorian's WTF moment of the week. Who knows if he's ready? I hope so. But before we get started, if you guys wouldn't mind, please put a thumbs up on this video. Show your support. Help us out. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, come on now. What are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. It's that little red button. Super easy. And share this with everyone that you know that enjoys MMA and UFC. And from now on, from this moment forward, if you agree or disagree with anything that we say in this entire podcast, let us know in the podcast. Let us know if you think that we're right or wrong, and we'll get back to you. But that being said, let's get into it, man. All right, Dorian. So up first on today's show, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. We'll get into the whole card in just 1 second, but man, were we really rooting for Ben Askren? Man, we all picked Ben Askren, but I think at the end of the day, like, we were really picking with our hearts and not really our heads. We wanted Ben Askren to win so bad. We were going to forgive him for the Jorge knockout if he was just able to get it done against Jake Paul. But in the end, in the first round, really, that didn't happen. Jake Paul pretty much ended up just setting up body jabs the entire first round and then just came over the top with just the meanest punch and just, I don't want to say knocked Ben clean out cold, but it looked like for a second he went stiff, coat racked him, if you will. His arms definitely could have held up some coats there, but I really feel for Askren, but at the end of the day, the dude didn't seem hurt at all. He was like, oh, you know what, made $1 million, going to go home. The dude just seems like nothing bothers him. That's the funky one. I wish he would have got it done here, but I guess Jake Paul showing that I guess he had enough skill to knock out an unskilled striker in Ben Askren. So before I just go on spouting out more and more, give me your thoughts on what happened here, man.
Yeah, and it was sort of, going back to what we talked about when the fight was first announced was my biggest fear in that fight was Ben Askren not being a good striker. And I know that, you had busted me pretty good there at the beginning because I was kind of leaning towards Jake Paul when the fight was first announced. And just knowing Ben Askren, he's been doing a lot of training over the last, 10 odd years. He was, of course, Bellator champ, one champ. He was arguably one fight away from at least fighting for a UFC title, so it's a fall from grace to see him in a position to where he's getting knocked out by Jake Paul now. His last 3 outings have just not been good. Like, he's literally been put to sleep each time. And you can make the argument last night wasn't really put to sleep, but he still got put on his ass, of course, by Masvidal with the flying knee. Damian Maia choked him unconscious, and then Ben Askren, or Jake Paul, ends up sending Ben Askren's head nearly into the crowd when he popped him last night. So, I was super worried for Ben just because he's never had to utilize the striking. He's always been a wrestler, and that's all he's ever had to utilize. The guy uses barely faint jabs and right hands to set up his wrestling, and that was his most dominant figure, or his most dominant fighting skill in mixed martial arts. But, I mean, he's in a sport now in boxing to where you're secluded to just the hands. Ben Askren has never been good with the hands. I know Chael Sonnen has made pokes at him because I listen to Chael's channel as well. He's made a bunch of jabs about Ben Askren not having head movement. And he said that he didn't think it would be too big of a deal at the end of the day, but it ended up being a big deal at the end of the day. You know, Ben just never had the sophisticated striking to compete with Jake Paul. And as you said, you know, Jake Paul set up that right hand over the top beautifully with those right hands to the body. He was going jab and then right hand to the body, and he hit him with about 2 or 3 different times, and he set him up perfectly. And when he hit him with that right hand over the top, he throws the jab. Ben Askren puts his hands down, anticipating the body shot, and Jake Paul timed it perfectly and brought the right hand over the top, caught him right on the side of the head, and put Ben Askren out. Now, the stoppage was a little funny, but at the end of the day, Ben Askren was hurt enough for me to kind of agree with it. Not agree, but I'm not going to argue with it as much. But if you're a diehard Ben Askren fan, I can understand you wanting to argue that it was a bad stoppage. But at the end of the day, Ben Askren, man, just took a bad L. Made a lot of money, but took a bad L, man. Worst of his career.
Man, I think the number one feeling that all MMA fans have, just go on DC's Instagram and watch his latest post. It's like 2 minutes long, and it's just DC's forehead and a TV, and it's just Ben Askren getting knocked out, and then it's pretty much exactly how every MMA fan felt. You're just like, oh no, Ben, like, and then you can't help but to like laugh a little bit because it's like, we all kind of saw the writing was in the cards. It's definitely possible. Just so you guys know, I wasn't confident in Ben enough to not put a bet on Jake Paul winning in the first round. I'll throw my bet up on the screen right now. I did hit a pretty decent parlay involving Jake Paul first round KO with my and Dorian's picks. We got Luis Pena on there. We got Tony Gravely in there. And there's one more on there, but it'll be on the screen. I made like $80-something off of a $3 bet, so I can't be mad at that. But, man, so overall, just I kind of feel for Askren, but I don't at the same time. The dude made a shit ton of money. He seems unbothered for the most part. Everyone's saying it was fixed or anything like that. Man, I don't think so. The dude got hit. And then in the post-fight press conference, like you heard him, he was like, I didn't let the MMA world down. I let the whole world down. So I feel like deep down he actually wanted to win that fight, but at the end of the day, he's not too upset because that's not what he done anyway. If that was an MMA fight, Ben would have smoked Jake Paul, no doubt about it, because it took Jake a little bit to get him out of there. And Ben would have had him down in the first 30 seconds and wouldn't have been able to get back up from that point on. Hey, let's see if it happens, but probably not. Anything else on this specific fight, man?
Not just tough L for Ben Askren, man. I mean, but he made his meal and skated on out, so I mean, congrats to him for that, at least. Yeah.
Congrats, and hold that to Ben Askren at the same time, whatever you want to say. We're going to miss the funky one. As entertaining as he was, he didn't have that many wins inside like the UFC or the or anything else outside past his championship run at Bellator and won. But Shout out Funky Ben Askren. All right, so before we move on to the UFC topic, let me just ask you this. What was your favorite, I'm going to say favorite in air quotes, because that can mean the part that you actually enjoyed the most or the most ridiculous part that was just like, oh my god. What is your favorite part of the night outside of the main fight? Because there was a lot going on, man. We had a slap competition at the beginning of the night involving Ric Flair? We had hold on, give me just a second. Let me just list off the things that we had. The slap competition. We had multiple concerts. We had Justin Bieber there. We had Saweetie. Not that. We had a 100% coked up Oscar De La Hoya. At some parts, he was just saying words. He was just like, he thought Frank Mir was beating Cunningham at some point. I was like, what's happening? And then, Ric Flair made multiple appearances. What was he even doing there, dude? And then probably what I'm going to pick as my favorite part of the night, just because it was literally laughable at the thought that this dude doesn't know that they're not going to replay this. The faked low blow, and the dude went out on a stretcher. What a night, man. So, I mean, you can pick something out of there, or you can name something that I didn't say. What was your favorite part of this Triller madness last night, and tell me why it was your favorite part?
The whole damn thing was a circus, really. I mean, because me and my wife was even saying to one another, I was trying to watch the broadcast, but it's like, man, and I love Snoop, but it's like, are we really going to roll him out on every single Triller broadcast and have him perform and things like that? And honestly, I think the thing that kind of stood out to me the most was I can actually understand why the UFC fighters got a little irritated, or not a little irritated, a lot irritated when Snoop Dogg was calling fights on the Dana White Contender Series. Because, man, Snoop Dogg, listening to him in his commentary, I mean, it's completely there that he's biased, and that he has a rooting interest in mind, which is cool, and I understand that, a lot of people are going to, but it just doesn't sound right coming out of the broadcast when he's sitting there making fun of Ben Askren, talking about, he looks like a bag of milk and stuff like that, which, I mean, Ben Askren doesn't look great, but it's just the fact that, I don't know, it just kind of hit the ear weird, I guess, where maybe just because we're so used to the UFC and then some Bellator, a lot of their commentary is more polished, so I guess it's just more what I'm used to.
Like, exactly what it sounded like was a fan on the couch, like, that's what fans say. Like, why are you in the commentary booth? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he drives me, the more I listen to him, the more he actually drives me crazy. I would watch a fight companion with him, like if he was doing his own fight companion and was watching the fight and he wasn't on the broadcast team, then for some reason, I guess because you're separating the business and the fun in all of it, I would understand Snoop wanting to do it at that angle, but it just seemed like him on the broadcast, man, he just really grinded my gears the last couple of times, if I can steal Peter Griffin's phrase. He just really grinded my gears those last couple of fights, man, and then just the Askren fight, just him just humiliating Ben Askren the whole time, and just blatantly, give me my money, nigga, blah blah blah, and he was just saying all types of stuff, and it just doesn't sound right coming out of the broadcast. So,
oh no, we got a frozen Dorian, so hopefully he comes back. Hold on, all right. Are you back? All right, he's back. It didn't take too long. He popped up back, so luckily we're still here. So I heard it just didn't didn't sound right coming out of the booth, and then you froze on me. So
yeah, it just didn't sound right with him. Just basically speaking from a fan's perspective in the booth. I just don't like it. I mean, I like to have fun, but I do like to kind of separate the fun and then the business side of it too. So I think if anything, him on the commentary booth definitely actually stood out to me the most.
Fair enough. So, dude, the dude that faked a nut shot and thought that there was going to be no replays, that, bro, you did you really think that no one was going to make fun of you for that? Like,
and no one, it seemed like no one empathized with him in the crowd at all. Like, everybody was just, just staring at him. Nobody was like patting him, oh man, I hope you feel better or something like that. No, everybody just kind of just stared at him or just didn't even pay attention to him. They just kind of looked off to the side and acting like nothing happened when he was getting stressed off.
Yeah. Dude, how the Mir versus Cunningham fight, dude. Cunningham was probably like the worst performance of the night. He was worse than Ben Askren. How are you, a professional boxer, literally hitting a Frank Mir over and over again and like not even doing enough damage to even do anything, to even get Frank Mir out of the an old, out of shape Frank Mir? Ben Askren is not the worst performance of the night. Cunningham definitely had the worst performance of the night, even though he won the fight. That was just overall a wild night. A wild night, man.
Triller has some wild ass broadcasts, man. It's absolutely nuts, and there's no consistency to it. It's just like, okay, here comes a concert, here comes coked up Oscar De La Hoya, and then all of a sudden here comes this celebrity, and then we got this comedian, and blah blah blah. And Pete Davidson was another one I didn't like in the commentary booth either, because I liked some of his stand up. Yeah. I liked him in Wildin' Out, but just some of the jokes he was making. I don't know. I just didn't really find it too funny during the whole broadcast. Yeah. I just like for that to be kind of separate.
All right, so I guess my takeaway from this overall is just, man, this is literally going to be a shit show every single time. But I guess they just needed to kind of figure it out. Like, there's a reason that no one else does this. Like, you have a daughter, right?
Right.
All right, so imagine like your daughter and all right, so like one of our friends wanted like to go to like a Justin Bieber concert or something like that. And imagine if like in between like the opening act, like in the main concert, they have like Stipe versus Francis like out there. Like everyone would be like, "What the hell's going on?" That's really how I felt, man. It's like no one was there to see that. Why are you putting this here? You're literally wasting so much money because Justin Bieber can't be cheap. I mean, whoever the hell Saweetie is can't be cheap. It's like...
Or it was Doja Cat, wasn't it?
I don't know who the hell it was. You're paying for all this shit that no one cares about anyway. You're just literally wasting money. So what a shit show overall, dude. I guess like what's your main takeaway from the Triller card overall, dude?
I mean, a lot of the commentary booth, and then probably just the madness of it all, and just no consistency to it. I mean, you got a concert here, you got a slapping competition there, and there's just no consistency with the whole damn thing. So that's why I was honestly confused. I had the fight on for Triller on my tablet, and then I had the Gastelum and Whittaker card on my TV. So I was kind of giving that a little bit more acknowledgement than I was the Triller broadcast, to be honest.
Definitely. So, speaking of that, we will move right along to good segue to the next topic. All right. Rob Whittaker versus Kelvin Gaslum, the full card, the breakdown, however you want to cut it. Before we get into this, dude, we made our picks here. We picked, both picked Rob Whittaker, both picked like Luis Pena. We both picked Andrade Arlovsky. The one we had difference was Jeremy Stephens versus Jakar Close. However you want to cut this here, man. Either we got Jeremy Stephens by TKO push, or we got a tie, and no matter what, and still, this bad boy is still here. Like I said, man, if you want to win this, how do you want to lose it this week? Do you want to be draw, or do you want to lose by Jeremy Stephens TKO push, dude? Because he got.
It's not even. If anything, it should be Jeremy Stephens disqualification because he landed a shot when he wasn't technically able to. So then, if it's Jeremy Stephens by DQ, then it should be with the champ. But man, we need to do odd number picks. It'd be easier. Better tiebreaker.
That's hilarious, dude. So speaking of that, I just kind of mentioned it. Jakar Close versus Jeremy Stephens, the co-main event of the night, out because at the weigh-in stare-downs, man, Jeremy Stephens, when he pushes you, you don't even make it to the fight. That's how much power Jeremy Stephens has. He pushed Jakar Close. I'm guessing Close getting a whiplash motion. So, as me and you always talk about it, Close had his hands behind his back and he was not protecting his neck. So, dude, I don't even know what to say here. What's your thoughts on, I guess, this interaction, and what are your thoughts on Close actually pulling out of the fight due to a push?
I know his team ended up speaking with Ariel, and Ariel said that he had a sprained cervical, so I know that's around your collarbone. Man, I mean, if Jeremy Stephens got that much, that much strength in the push, I mean, he doesn't really need to punch anybody anymore in a fight. If he just pushes them, he's going to end up doing some real damage to him. I could see it having kind of like a whiplash effect because it caught him off guard. I thought it was a little strange that he ended up pulling out of the fight, but they did say that they were going to try to reschedule it basically ASAP. So I think that Jakar Close kind of maybe sprinkled in a little bit more when he said that he woke up and was nauseous and vomiting and stuff like that. But I think overall, I mean, I could see how it would have some effect. It's hard to see him pulling out of the fight, but if they can reschedule it ASAP, no harm, no foul. You'll get to get it in a couple weeks anyway.
Just funny overall. I don't want to say funny. Just odd to say that you got a concussion from getting pushed. Imagine if he punched you. What would have happened, man? But I guess to Close's favor just a little bit, they were at the stare downs. They had just cut weight, so your brain is dry at that point and may cause just a little bit more damage than what would have been any other time. So maybe, but overall, hopefully we do get to see this fight, and we will once again have to make our picks. But we're going to move along on to all the fights that did happen this weekend. So, the main event itself, Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gaslum. Robert Whittaker gets it done. Unanimous decision overall. Andrade Arlovsky versus Chase Sherman. Andrade Arlovsky, the old vet, the old dog, not going out of there. Gets it done at the end. Jacob Malkoun with an upset over Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. And me and you both had a couple bets placed on this fight, so thankfully he gets it done here. And then we got Tracy Cortez getting it done over. I just think back to last week, Dorian's favorite, Justine Kitch. Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. And then what started off, I believe, the main card was Luis Pena getting it done, unanimous decision over Alexander Munoz, just really flowing on Munoz. Munoz had no answer for just the striking skill that Pena had just put on him. So, out of these five, man, which one do you want to jump into first? Do you want to start at the main event, or do you want to start at the Pena fight and work our way up?
Yeah, let's start with the main event, because that was kind of more the big takeaway from everything.
Okay, so I guess let me set this up for you real quick. I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch the first 2 rounds of this fight. And that's because I was trying to get my stream back working. Excuse me for just a second.
Well, if you want to, I can go ahead. Since you didn't watch the first, I didn't know that you didn't watch the first 2 rounds. So I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit. So, man, Robert Whittaker, man, just another feather in his cap, dude. Man, he has just been the solid grinder, dude, or the silent assassin. Just because he doesn't speak much. I really think that people try to do like a smear campaign against Robert Whittaker, saying that he never wanted a title shot against Izzy again, just because he doesn't blatantly say it. But I don't think he really has to say it, because he consistently goes up there and proves it time and time again that he is arguably the best middleweight in the division. Even with Izzy being in the division, look, Robert Whittaker got a lot of wrinkles in his game, man, and his striking is so potent, and he implemented a lot of his wrestling in that fight, especially in the later rounds of that fight, which I was not expecting for Robert Whittaker to work his wrestling against Kelvin Gaslum. He said after the fight, I heard him in his press conference, that he had been working on a lot of wrestling in this camp. He said arguably the most wrestling in his career that he's ever worked on was going into this camp. And I think that he's trying to sharpen his tool set to not just be the potent striker that he is, but to have the wrestling in his back pocket when he wants to use it. I know that they said he had entered, multiple wrestling tournaments and stuff like that before in the past as well, and won many tournaments. So he's a silent, decorated wrestler. Just doesn't really implement it as much because he's such a good striker, but he really showed the well-roundedness in his game. One of the combos that I love that he throws, he lands it literally every fight. Jab, right hand, and then he throws the right head kick, and he lands that combo to a T. And he lands it so fast, it's so fluid, and he hurts almost everybody that he hits with it. He hit Kelvin with it hard in the first round, and he hurt Kelvin real bad. And Kelvin was able to land some good shots. He wasn't out of the fight at all, but it was clear that Robert Whittaker was winning that fight round by round, and he ended up winning a unanimous decision with that. So just Robert Whittaker overall, who else but him is next for the title shot? Nobody else in that division can touch him outside of Izzy, and Izzy is the only loss that Whittaker has in the middleweight division. So it's clear that these two need to run it back. Just Robert Whittaker, man, that dude's a dog, and all the respect to him, because I just feel like he doesn't get enough of it.
I appreciate you taking over me there, as I was, about to die. It kind of felt like, I was sitting here, all of a sudden, the worst cough pain just got right in my chest. But anyway, what I was saying was, I wasn't watching the first 2 rounds closely. I had it out the corner of my eye on my TV, but I was on my laptop, trying to get the fight back, because for some reason it just closed down and wouldn't reopen at all. I don't know, everyone was on Triller at the same time, something like that. But anyway, I saw what happened, and then I was able to focus back. I'm like, oh, this is literally just what's been happening the whole time. So just pretty much the whole fight, just really picking Kelvin apart, and then, as you said at the end there, securing the takedowns, showing some wrinkles in his game, maybe showing something that he's working on to try to use against Izzy. Personally, I still think he has 0 chance at beating Izzy, but we'll see it when it comes. Your question to me was, who is next if not Rob? Man, I want to see Darren Till still, man. I just want to say that it's a fresh matchup. We've already seen what's going to happen to Rob, man. We've already seen it. I need Vettori versus Till still, because Vettori can't get the title shot off of laying on Holland for 5 rounds. If anyone deserves it, hold on. If anyone deserves it, it is Rob. I think that here's the thing. Izzy doesn't, Rob doesn't want to fight until September. Izzy wants to fight in July or June, something like that. So there's a lot of months there in between that Izzy could fight either Vettori or Till, but Till's out, so I guess, I don't know, man. The whole middleweight division right now is just kind of up in the air. Rob does deserve it, but
real quick, are you going to just real quick? Are you going to leave Izzy on the sideline for that long? Because he fought in March, and he's pretty much ready now. So I mean, who knows when Vettori and Till can run it back? Because Till broke his collarbone. So are you going to leave Izzy on the sideline for that long?
I mean, Rob doesn't want to fight until September anyway.
I mean, what's that? 4 or 5 months? I mean, that's not.
I mean,
that's not
how long does a collarbone take to heal?
He fought Darren Till and Jared Cannonier on like a month and a half apart. I mean, the dude's been fighting. You know, he's been pretty active here lately, and he's been taking out all the top contenders outside of himself.
I do believe that he deserves it. I've already seen it, so personally, I feel like we already know what's going to happen there. It doesn't tickle my fancy, if you will. He does deserve it, but I don't know. Rob doesn't do any favors of making me want to watch him fight. I don't know, dude. He just doesn't. I don't know what it is. He's a great fighter. He's not the talker. It isn't even that, because I enjoy people that aren't even talkers. It's just something about him. I don't know. I don't know. Just not my favorite fighter to watch. So I guess, well, you agree. I agree. He deserves it. Will it happen next? I hope so, but if not, we know why. Because this, the timing thing. Timing shits on a lot of things, and like everyone says, oh, like you don't want to fight because this, and this. When really, it's just they can't agree on a time. Shit doesn't work out. You know, these fighters, who knows, dude? Who knows? Anything else on this fight, man?
No, just salute to Robert Whittaker, man. Like I said, I just feel like he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And he's not the most loud fighter, but just in terms of his fighting style, I mean, the dude has put on, you know, some damn good fights. He's had some crazy finishes. He fights contender after contender, and I just think he really, you know, deserves or he needs to get the respect that he deserves.
Yeah, I don't know. My takeaway from the fight is something that we already all knew. Kelvin is made of steel, dude. You can't finish the dude. You're not knocking Kelvin Gastelum out. You just can't. The dude is unfinishable. Like
Izzy got close. Izzy got close, but he wasn't quite.
But that's why, dude, I just knew that this fight was going to decision pretty much no matter what. Like Kelvin is you can't finish him, and Rob was just too good to lose to Kelvin. That was my just main takeaways right before the fight even fucking started. I was like, this is what should happen here. And sure enough, it did. So, moving down, Andrade Arlovsky getting it done over Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman looked like he hurt Arlovsky in the first round. I had a bet on this. Even though I picked Arlovsky in our picks last week, I was just like, man, this is Arlovsky on a week's notice. He just got finished by Tom Aspinall just a couple months ago. Man, how's he gonna look? I'll risk it. I'll throw a couple dollars on it and see if we can get Chase Sherman by TKO. But man, Andrade Arlovsky showing that he is an old dog that ain't going anywhere. He's still in the game. He said he wants a couple more years of fighting left, dude. Well, give me your thoughts on this fight.
Really just Andrade Arlovsky just showing his veteran savvy. Just him being able to weather the storm. You know, Chase Sherman, he's a pretty exciting fighter. I've seen a few of his fights in his first stint in the UFC, and I've seen his comeback fight against Ike Villanueva, and he put Ike Villanueva away.
Kicked his legs off, man.
Yeah, he put him away pretty easy, dude. And then he got him on the fence and landed them brutal elbows. And Chase Sherman, he's a dog when he's in the clinch, but Andrade Arlovsky played it smart, kept the range, was able to land some good shots, and you can see Chase Sherman there toward the end of the fight was getting frustrated because he wasn't able to run Arlovsky down as he does, you know, most of his opponents. He wasn't able to cut him off when Andrade Arlovsky was using good foot movement, landing good 1-2s. landed some good head kicks, man. And for him to, he got buzzed there. I think it was like early in the second round, but then he was able to kind of, get his wits together about him, and then still, come back to arguably win that round. So yeah, he definitely just showed his veteran savvy, and for him to be this late in the game, he was a UFC champion, 20 years ago at this point? If not, it's damn near. I believe, no, seriously, I think it was like 15, 16 years ago, he was the UFC heavyweight champion, and he is now, in his early 40s, still doing it, and still fighting, the young up-and-comers as if he's, the same thing himself. Even with his nose smushed on the other side of his face, the dude's there for a fight every time. And, just really good performance overall by Arlovsky.
Definitely. People got to stop counting Arlovsky out, man, because he ain't going anywhere. He's still here. Until he loses a couple in a row in devastating fashion, Arlovsky, the Pitbull, is still here to stay. So moving down the card, Jacob Malkoun just really putting on a wrestling clinic over Alhassan here, dude. I don't even really want to talk much about it, just because just the wrestling clinic of Malkoun here, it was just dominance overall. Anything on this fight, man?
Nothing too specific. Just I sent you the parlays that I had with Jacob Malkoun on there. Really surprised that Alhassan was as big of a favorite as he is. I know that he has like a crazy highlight reel and all of his knockouts are in the first round, but really surprised that he would see as big of a favorite as he was. So I definitely made some good plays with Malkoun, and just put on a wrestling clinic and just gassed him out after the first round, and just controlled him and dominated him for the rest of the fight.
All right, fair enough. So Tracy Cortez versus Justine Kitch, man. Split decision there at the end. I wasn't 100% confident that Cortez got it done here. I wanted her to get it done here. She was a huge favorite here. I wanted her to get it done here. What did you think about this fight, man? I just can't stop thinking about it every time I just look at Justine Kitch. Just the story that you told last week. I'm just like, and after you told me,
I cannot believe you never seen that. Yeah. That is absolutely crazy.
And then after we talk about this fight, I have a fun story that I'll also tell you about involving her. So go ahead for just a second. What did you think about this fight, man?
They came to scrap, and definitely Tracy Cortez. I would say I couldn't argue that she won the fight. If Justine Kitch had got the decision, I probably would have said the same thing for her. It was really close. I think Tracy Cortez got caught up a little bit too much in standing up instead of wanting to get it to the ground, where she was dominating the fight really. And then when she was letting Justine Kitch stand up, Justine Kitch landed a big, I think it was a big right hand when Cortez went to throw a kick and rocked her there late in the third round, and arguably could have won the fight. But I did think that Tracy Cortez won at the end of the day. But if Justine Kitch had gotten the decision, I couldn't really argue it too much. But honestly, a really good fight from him. Kind of surprised me, because I kind of expected a little bit more of a slow fight. But they put on a pretty good pace and brought the fight.
Cool. All right, fair enough. So, as I said, my story. So, my girlfriend had also never heard of this Justine Kitch. So, I was telling her that, last week in the podcast, I hadn't heard of her either, and told her, the story like you told me. So, she goes and Googled this, and the second Google story that pops up was that someone offered her $15,000 for those exact shorts that she shit in, man. Can you believe that?
How much?
$15,000. Some sick fucking pervert out there offered her $15,000 for her shitty fucking shorts, dude. I was like, oh, dude.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Exactly.
What is wrong with you, sir?
I was like, oh.
What is wrong with you, sir? What the hell?
Oh goodness. So, yeah. So glad we got.
Oh man, that is absolutely disgusting. Why would anybody even? What would you do with those in your possession anyway? It's like so you get them and then what? You put a shitty pair of shorts in a frame. So and then now your whole living room is gonna be smelling like shit, huh? Yeah, you like that just sitting there? Yeah, you nasty, sick bastard.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So, before we move along, man, we gotta talk about.
Now that shit is crusty in the shorts, and you still got it. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? That don't make no damn sense.
Who knows, man? Who knows? There are some sick perverts in this world, dude. Before we move along from this, we got like Luis Pena versus Alexander Munoz, real quick, man. Violent Bob Ross just putting on a striking clinic over the Alexander Munoz here. Anything on this fight?
Yeah, I messaged you early on and told you, like, man, this fight, it's getting good. They were throwing down, man, and Munoz was throwing some heavy right hands, and he landed pretty good on Pena. And at first, I thought he hurt him in the first round, but Pena acknowledged after the fight, nah, he didn't really get hurt. He felt just fine. You could tell that he wore on Munoz as the fight went on when he was just peppering him up. Started landing the lead right hand. Since he was standing in southpaw position, he was landing that kind of like a shuffle uppercut. He landed it and was crushing Munoz with it, and was throwing some good leg kicks in there as well. Very competitive fight. I do think Pena won the fight, but definitely, I think, in my opinion, probably fight of the night.
Fair enough. A great fight, as you said. The one boxing, or how do I say this? The boxing fight was not the only low blow of the night. Alexander Romanov versus Juan Espino ended with a low blow. The first time I've ever seen this happen, it was a technical split decision. The fight didn't end, but it went to decision. Romanov getting the dub here, dude. What did you think about this, man?
Yeah, I told you, we were messaging each other about it, and I listen to a lot of MMA podcasts, okay? I'm a fan of everybody out there, but I listen to the Weighing In podcast, and one of the things that John McCarthy had actually said to Aljamain Sterling was that decision that was made in the Juan Espino and Alexander Romanov fight. John McCarthy said he himself would have made the same decision to make it a technical decision in the Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling fight. So that was the only reason why I had any resemblance of the rule whatsoever. Never seen it actually implemented in a fight, and that was really crazy. And it ended up coming down to a split decision, and Romanov still ended up winning. So, I know it wasn't the way that he wanted to win, but yeah, that was definitely bizarre. Like I said, first time I've ever seen any type of situation like that, but they were putting on a good fight for as long as it lasted. But you could tell the big boys are getting tired there at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And they were definitely winded for sure. But crazy situation.
Definitely. The UFC veteran returning after 4 years, Jessica Pena, taking on Lupi Godinez, just pretty much just in that being a split decision at the end, but Jessica Pena doing enough to get the decision at the end. GM3 getting the sub over Fabinovsky, something like that, and then Austin Hubbard getting it done by decision over Dakota Harry Bush. Why did they take out his nickname and everything in the broadcast, on the announcements, everything? Dakota Bush. I wanted to hear the Harry Bush. It didn't happen. But lastly, before we move on to the next topic, man, go Tony Gravely. Go Tony Gravely.
Yeah. Put on a clinic, dude. Man, and I really think that he's going to, with that performance, dude, I know that he had that, I can't remember the gentleman that he lost to now. The name can't come to me. Brett Johns. Brett Johns is who he lost to. Because Brett Johns is actually a really good fighter. He's a really good submission artist. He's fought like Aljamain Sterling and guys like that. So he's pretty well tested. But Tony Gravely, man, if he can keep putting the tools together like he has, he's going to be a problem for the bantamweight division. And I know it's only 3 rounds that he's fighting right now, but if he can put that pace on with the wrestling mixed with the power shots that he has in his hands, because he definitely hurt the guy at the end of the first round. And at first, I thought it was fight over right there because I thought they were going to stop it in the corner. Luckily for him, they didn't, and the fight resumed. But man, Tony Gravely just put the hands, put the wrestling, and just put the pace on his opponent for basically 3 rounds until they finally got him out of there late in the round. So Tony Gravely, hometown guy from Christiansburg, he actually shouted us out on the Data My Contender series. But man, dude's been a killer so far in the UFC, and I'm really excited to see what he can do moving forward.
Go Tony Gravely.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah, you got some fans out of us, man. Hey, maybe we can shout him out or something. Maybe get him on the pod, do an interview, something like that. I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe one day, dude. Maybe one day. So, I'm guessing like the Dorian will be missing like about something out of what he just now said, because every time that I try to end the clip, you kept wanting to say something, and at the last point I'm like, well, it's about to end, I have to end the clip anyway, so I clicked it and you kept talking. I'm like, well, for 1 second you're not able to hear what he says, but go Tony Gravely, we all know you, we're fans over here, man. Alright, so moving right along, dude. News and talk, fight news. What's up, man? Anything going on in this past week that you want to talk about, man, involving the fight world, fight news, fight announcements, anything like that?
Been a little bit of slow news here lately as far as the actual fight announcements itself. Of course, we've seen Amanda Nunes. Juliana Pena got her shot, and she ended up calling for it. And I guess she ended up creating so much buzz now that once she ended up talking a little bit of smack, maybe that was all it took, because she was the only person actually really calling out Amanda Nunes. Because let's be honest, I don't think there's many men's bantamweights or men's featherweights that want to fight Amanda Nunes, let alone the women in the division. So seeing that happen, and pretty surprised they made it happen, within the quickness. It's not until August or September, but they made the matchup pretty quick once Juliana Pena called her shot. So that was one thing that surprised me for sure. But pretty dry week overall as far as, big headlines.
You say that, and then you just think about what happened in the past week. Think about when we did our last podcast. I know it came out after all this happened, but the shit show that was Conor Dustin last week, dude, right after we did our podcast, we're like, alright, Conor Dustin 3 officially made, right? As I'm editing, me and you are kind of messaging back and forth, all this shit's coming out, and I'm like, man, I just edited this long-ass fucking video, 5 hours of me editing this 1 hour video for us to say the fight's on, everything's made, for this to happen, and everything was going back and forth. Luckily enough, at the end of the day, the fight is made. I said, I think this was a behind-the-scenes stunt just to get a few more eyes on everything happening, man. What is, I guess, your thoughts, your takeaways on what happened last week on social media between Dustin and Conor?
I think that Conor ended up getting embarrassed. I think that he ended up getting embarrassed because he ended up getting called out by Dustin. Dustin didn't come out later and apologize about the whole scenario, saying that that's not the type of guy that he is. And typically he's not the type of guy to try to, get headlines or try to talk smack about people or anything like that. But, I think that he ended up embarrassing Conor. And I think that when that happened, I think that is going to add more fuel to the fire, of course, in terms of, the resale value and stuff like that. Because it's going to kind of be a hard sell considering the fact that Conor basically got smoked in their last fight. So any fuel to the fire you can add for the promotion, of course, we're all good with that. But we know for sure the fight's official now. Little fuel to the fire, who's going to complain? We're just excited to see the third fight happen, and within this year too. We're not waiting another year and a half, 2 years for a Conor McGregor fight. We're getting 2 UFC fights within a 1 calendar year. So that's just big news within itself. So as far as the smack talk, cool, I'll take it. If it's not there, I'm not going to complain either. Just glad that the fight's official.
Do you think the old Conor is back?
Hey, shoot. I mean, you're really going to have to see it once the press conferences start, because right now he's trying to get into that bag on Twitter, but he's been like that on Twitter for a little bit, but then he comes out being respectful to Cowboy Cerrone. I still have like a kind of little conspiracy theory tinfoil hat thing with McGregor kind of cleaning up his public act, because he's had a lot of accusations come out about him, and then he's had a lot of bad public outings, punching the old man and things like that. So honestly, me personally, I believe some of the nice guy stuff. Don't want to call it a complete act, because I do think that he's a nice guy. I think fatherhood has changed him and things like that. But I think that he's definitely being a little bit more meticulous about the way that he is approached in the public, because he has other business ventures outside of the UFC that he's working with. So he doesn't want his image smeared in any way, and the best way that he can maintain that, he will. So I do think, as far as business ventures and stuff go, yeah, you're going to see pretty much the same respectful guy, unless Dustin starts to try to bring that heat at a press conference. But other than that, I think you're going to get similar to the same McGregor that we've been getting the last few fights.
I've got biker boys going up and down the street right now, popping their fucking willies. Dude, I've been seeing ATVs and dirt bikes popping willies going up and down the street. And there's cops following behind them with their lights on, pull over. But these kids are like, fuck you, dude, I just don't understand it. It's anyway, back to the fight. My takeaway from the fight, if Conor McGregor comes to the octagon with a man bun, Dustin is fucked. Alright, moving, I guess, down to pretty much next weekend's card, man. How'd you like that segue, dude?
We've been setting them up.
Yeah, the man bun. Alright, so next weekend's card, man. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal, number 2. Just checking my time here. Laylee Zhang versus Rose Namajunas, also for the title. Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. Probably the one that I'm looking most forward to. I'm smelling an upset there, man. I really do. Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. Why is this on the main card, man? Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. Okay, I'll take it. Prelims just real quick. Alex Cowboy Oliveira going up against Randy Brown. Dwight Grant, don't know who that guy is. Carl Robuster, Brendan Allen. Okay, Brendan Allen's probably... I'm going to take Brendan Allen there. Early prelims, let's see. Don't know that. Wow, a lot of these guys don't even have pictures. That is great. Alright, so yeah. Alright, cool. Alright, main card, Dorian. How many fights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5, dude, here. We're going to make our picks real quick. I just gave you the rundown of the main card. So, up first, man. Am I going to say it? Yep, I'm going Jorge Masvidal. I think Jorge and New this weekend, dude. Who knows, dude? Who knows? I had this feeling in the air, man, Usman's getting real confident with his striking. And who knows what's going to happen here. Laylee Zhang versus Rose. Man, as much as I like Rose, I just think Laylee is just going to get her out of there, man. She's so polished. She has so much power. Rose said that Andrade hit her the hardest she's ever been hit, and Laylee ran through fucking Andrade 100%. And then, that being said, I'm picking Andrade to beat Valentina, man. 2 titles are switching hands this Saturday, in my opinion, dude. I'm going Chris Weidman getting it done over Uriah Hall, because we don't know which Uriah Hall is going to show up here. And I'm going with the junkyard dog, Anthony Smith. I believe Anthony Smith is going to get it done over Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's tough. He's got power. I can guarantee you one thing, though. This fight will go to decision if Anthony Smith does not get the decision here, because Anthony Smith is a dog, and he ain't getting up. He ain't giving up. He'll lose teeth before he gives up, man. So I try not to make it too long there and try to tell you not too much wide dive into it, but I gave you my picks, man. Jorge, Laylee, Andrade, Weidman, and Anthony Smith. That is my 5 picks, man. So you want to shoot yours at me and just give a quick little brief thing as you know why, just a little bit without kind of diving too much into.
So give me Usman.
Okay.
Give me Usman. I just think he's
the proof is in the pudding.
He's rolling. That dude's rolling right now. Mm-hmm. Give me Rose. Okay. I think one title's going to switch hands. And then, of course, all reliable, Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina. Give me Chris Weidman, and then give me Anthony Smith. Okay. I think Anthony Smith can get it done. So I got Usman, Rose, Valentina, Chris Weidman, Anthony Smith.
All right, so both of our non-title fight picks are the same. Cool. All 3 of our title fight picks are all different. So, hey, man, this could come over the door in next week. But until then, it is still here. But we're going to jump into why we think what we think, man. So let me check my time real quick. Yeah, I got plenty of time left. So I'm just going to go, man, everything points toward Usman getting this done here. Their last fight, Usman striking, slowly improving, all of that. But the one thing that I just can't stop thinking about, man, was last time this fight happened, dude, it was on 6 days' notice. I don't know how hard Jorge was training for a title fight. I'm sure he was training, but there's a difference between being in shape and literally training for a 5-round title fight for the championship. Like, you know, so it's like, it's different. I'm interested to see what happens here. I'm hoping Jorge gets it done here. I think so many people are hoping Jorge gets it done here. So I'm not the only one. Usman is definitely going to be like the favorite. I mean, it makes sense why. What do you think's going to happen here, man?
Yeah, I just think that, you know, sort of what I said earlier, Usman is rolling right now, man. He's at the peak of his powers. His striking is coming along so much just within his title reign alone. And in the fight that he had against Jorge the first time, you know, I do think that his striking was there. I think that a big part of why Usman's performance was as what people like to call him snoozman. I think the reason why his fight was so boring was because where he also had the opponent change on 6 days' notice and was still willing to take the fight while he's being the champion. So he took the easiest avenue to victory then. I think with him having a little bit more of a camp, I do think that he will be able to implement a little bit more of a striking. But of course, he's going to have that wrestling to rely on. So I think when it comes to Usman backing him up against the black lines, as Luke Thomas always likes to point out, backing fighters up against the black lines, I think that once Usman can kind of get Masvidal closer to the cage, he'll implement more of his striking and then work his way into the clinch and then work his way to the takedown, because Masvidal does have pretty good takedown defense, but early in the fight he does. Later in the fight you could see that, of course, in the last fight he was gassing, took the fight on 6 days notice, but I would say that he was in pretty good shape or he wouldn't have taken the fight at all. But I do think that Usman is I think he's just going to be a little bit too much for Masvidal to be able to handle. Now, Masvidal's got super potent striking. Dude can put away anybody at any moment. We've seen him do it time and time again. So it's not like he doesn't have the capability of putting away Usman. But if you're asking me whether I would put my money on, I would have to put my money on Usman. And that's why I'm thinking that Usman's going to be able to walk out with probably a unanimous decision.
Fair enough. Not a bad pick. I'm going with the heart on this one, man. I'm going Jorge. It's okay. We're going to move down to the next. Laylee Zhang versus Rose Namajunas. Rose, a fan favorite. I always root for her, man, but I just have a hard time seeing her get it done here, man. Laylee looks like a little monster, dude. Like, if Rose does get it done here, maybe, dude, I don't know. It's going to be such a good fight. I really don't know who to pick, to be honest, because I'm a huge Rose fan too, but Laylee is just so tough, dude. She really is. Like, I think she's going to be the champ for a while, as long as she stays there, dude. She's big for like the division. She's a thick. Her arms are just massive, huge frame, just for the division. So as long as she stays there, I think she's probably going to stay the champ. But if Rose does get the dub here, dude, I wouldn't mind. I do think this will go to decision. And if Rose does win, it'll be just a 5-round, just keeping her space, I guess. But I guess we'll kind of see what happens here, man. What do you think happens here?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be the fight of the night. I know I said Jimmy Smith and Jimmy Crute and Anthony Smith. Wow, I just combined both their names together. I know I said that that's going to be a damn good fight too, but I do think overall the fight of the night is definitely going to be Laylee and Rose throwing it down. Both of them just vicious with the hands. Of course, Laylee is a little bit more decorated as a striker overall. She implements a little bit more of her kicks in her game. Even though Rose implements a lot of kicks in her game too, she's more of a boxing base with a great submission game, great jiu-jitsu game as well. But I think that this is going to be the fight of the night. I think that Rose, she showed in her last fight her absolute toughness, just to be able to push through and to be able to persevere, because in the first fight that she had against Andrade, that fight wasn't close until Andrade slammed her on her head. Rose was winning that fight every second of it, and then she got slammed on her head. And then she went off for about a year and a half, almost. She was gone for almost a year and a half, and then she came back and fought Andrade. And when she came back and fought Andrade, she had a lot of what people would say ring rust coming back into it, trying to get her bearings together. And you're fighting one of the scariest women that we've ever seen in women's mixed martial arts in general, but especially for the 115 division in Jessica Andrade. And when she came back and fought her that second time, she put on a hell of a performance. She was winning the fight, and then late in the third, she got crushed with an overhand right. Most women would have faltered under that pressure of Jessica Andrade. Rose was able to get her wits about her and come back, and was still able to land some good shots towards the end of that round to earn the split decision victory. So I think just with her guts overall, and of course you can say the same thing about Laylee versus Joanna. I do think that Joanna at this point is a little bit, you could say, maybe not in her prime as she was, maybe about 3 years ago. But I think that Rose will be able to implement more of her boxing, be able to keep the range, be able to work in some ground game when she can, and I think that she'll be able to get away with let's go split decision win.
Fair enough. If she wins, that's how I think it. I think no matter which way it's going, this fight is ending in a split decision. It's going to be a great fight, as you said, man. So let's go with what I think is going to be one of the biggest, probably the biggest upset of the night, man. I'm going Andrade over Valentina. Dude, I just feel like it's time, man. It's time. Andrade has power, dude. Even with body shots, dude. She's knocking chicks out in the body, dude. If Andrade is able to land clean on Valentina, dude, I think she can get her out of there. And I'm just tired of seeing Valentina just lay on chicks for 3, 4, 5 rounds now, dude. She used to be entertaining, fun to watch with her KO, her like spinning shit, but man, her past few fights is just like she's doing just the bare minimum to win, dude. So I'm really hoping Andrade can get it done here, be a women's double champ, winning the 115 and the 125 pound championship. Let's see if she can get it done here. I'm going Andrade, hopefully by KO, man. What do you think? Why do you think Valentina gets it done here? Hopefully you don't say she's going to lay on her for all 5 rounds, but I guess throw it at me.
Well, I think that what Valentina is going to be able to do is she's going to be able to lay on Andrade for all 5 rounds. They'd be able to. No, honestly, I think that I think that Valentina is going to be in for a tough fight. This ain't going to be Jennifer Maia. The reason why Valentina has had, lackluster performances in her last couple fights, her competition really hasn't gotten her up any. She's fought Jennifer Maia, Caitlin Chikagian, Jessica. So fighters that really have no business being in there fighting with Valentina Shevchenko, and Valentina Shevchenko just being the ultimate champ and just taking all comers. She doesn't care who it is; she's fighting anybody. And but I think with Andrade, as you said, former 115 champ, fought at 135, got a lot of knockouts at 135 as well as 115, and even in her debut at 125, she was able to put Caitlin Chikagian away with a body shot so bad. Chikagian turned around and jumped in the air.
And just ran.
Turned around, jumped, and ran because the shot hurt that damn bad. So, Andrade is going to be able to bring the fight to Shevchenko more than any of her opponents probably have at 125 have to this point. I just think that Valentina is going to be the more sharp, technical fighter. She's going to be bigger than Andrade in there, which is going to be a change for Valentina Shevchenko because Shevchenko is typically the smaller fighter. But I think that her kickboxing, her patience, distance management, and then her wrestling, she's just so well-rounded in her game. I just think that it's going to be hard for Andrade to kind of close that distance without Valentina going for the clinch if Andrade gets too close, or shooting for a takedown, and then Andrade tries to stay at range. I just think that Valentina, with her kickboxing, is just going to be able to pick her apart and be able to ride out a unanimous decision.
All right, well, fair enough, dude. Like as you said, it's also going to be another crazy fight, dude. There's so many options to be fight of the night. There's, as you said earlier, is a great card, dude. I'm excited. They got my money next weekend. You know how it goes. So let's talk about these last few just before we get out of here, man, because this is starting to fucking run on, dude. I'm like sitting here like, damn, how long have we been doing this? So let's go. Chris Weidman, versus Uriah Hall, just real quick, man. I can never pick Uriah Hall simply because we don't know which one's going to show up, man, and we know Chris Weidman just has a dog wrestling pedigree. If you don't knock him out of there, expect to lose, man. Chris Weidman by decision here. What's up, man?
I think the same thing. Until Uriah Hall really shows me any type of true wrestling defense at all. I think he fought Antonio Carlos Jr., put up some pretty good wrestling defense in that fight overall in a split decision win. But to the degree that Chris Weidman is, no, Uriah Hall's never been able to show me that. So until he can, Chris Weidman.
Fair enough. We're going the Junkyard Dog, Anthony Smith going up against Jimmy Crute. Why does Jimmy Crute look exactly like the same picture that Chase Sherman has? Do they look alike? Because their picture looks, I swear, like fucking spot on, dude. The spot on.
Hairstyle. I don't. If you actually see them though, they don't. They don't look that much alike. They got a similar hairstyle.
All right.
That little brush to the side.
Yeah. So we both got Anthony Smith here, dude. I just think he just gets it done by decision. Anthony Smith, just a dog. What do you think here, man?
I think that Anthony Smith might be able to actually get it done by submission. I think that he's been able to implement his jiu-jitsu, in his last fight against Devin Clark. And I think that Jimmy Crute has actually been submitted by Misha Serkinov. So he's shown holes in his game in terms of his ground game. I think that Anthony Smith's pretty well rounded with the boxing, striking, grappling, and I think that Anthony Smith is actually going to be able to get away with a submission win.
Fair enough. I wouldn't mind seeing Lionheart get the dub by submission this upcoming weekend. So just real quick, Alex Oliveira, Randy Brown. Randy Brown's young. Alex Oliveira's kind of a vet in the game, but man, you can't count him out. Who do you got here, man?
I think you got to give me Randy Brown. I think Alex Oliveira is just a little long in the tooth at this point. Always a game fighter, but just a little bit slow and a little bit small for welterweight as well. So give me Randy Brown.
Fair enough. Carl Robertson versus Brendan Allen, dude. This one that I'm excited for. Brendan Allen, you guys may know him, pretty much just beat Kevin Holland exactly like Derek Brunson did and Marvin Vettori did. So even though Derek Brunson does take credit for laying out the game plan, really Brendan Allen was the first one to really do it, show that it could be done. Great wrestler going up against Carl Robertson here. I believe it's going to look just like that fight. Brendan Allen, great wrestling. I believe he gets a dub here, unanimous decision. Maybe even gets a TKO late, something like that. What do you think on this fight, man?
I think the same thing. I think Brendan Allen is going to just put too much of his wrestling on Carl Robertson. Carl Robertson is another one, similar to Uriah Hall. Hasn't really shown much in terms of his wrestling defense. If you can get him down, you can get some pretty good control on him. So I think that, Brendan Allen is actually going to be able to probably get either a TKO or submission, but let's go TKO.
Fair enough. I just saw this name and I'm like, why does that sound familiar? Tristan Connolly. They'll beat Michel Pereira, dude. I cannot believe that. He's returning. So the UFC loves to match him up against fights that looks to be way overmatched in. So it's probably going to be an interesting one. I don't know who Patrick Sabatini is. I can't say I've ever seen him fight. Anything else on these prelims, early prelims, man? Or anything else just on the fight night overall?
Really just excited for the whole card, and man, Saturday, can I get here soon enough?
I know. Dorian's favorite 3 title fights, so probably over about 4 a.m., something like that, at Dorian's favorite time. But, alright, man, so I guess that's pretty much all the main topics we have for the show. It's time to move along to one of my favorite topic of the week. I'm about to get asked a question that I don't know what it is. It's Dorian's turn this week. It is our WTF moment of the week. Dorian's going to ask me something MMA related or otherwise. Doesn't have to be. I know nothing of this, and I have to answer on the fly in a trying to give the most honest, serious answer I can. So I guess take it away, man. What do you got for me this week? Let me go ahead and grab a paper and a pencil.
Alright, so just really thinking of the most random stuff that I can come up with, but always wanted to make it MMA related as well. So we're living in just this imaginary world where you have your own child, and you raise this child, whether it be a boy or a girl. You raise this child to be the most outstanding citizen, graduated high school with all honors, and all of that good stuff. And you're getting ready to send them out once they graduate high school. So you have one choice to send them off to a school. Now, the school that you're going to have to send them off to is a discipline in mixed martial arts that they have to carry out throughout their whole entire lives, and they cannot learn another discipline. But you have to teach them this discipline in order to defend themselves, and then they end up getting a fighting career, and they have to use that in their fighting career. What one discipline in MMA are you going to teach, or that you're going to send your child off to learn so they can implement it for the rest of their lives in self-defense, or whether they become a professional fighter? What one skill would you have your child do?
When you put it like that, it's like, well, what is it going to be most used for? Is it going to be for everyday self-defense, or is it going to be for the sport of MMA? Because it's like, let's apply it to the sport of MMA. If you have to send your child off and they're going to become a professional MMA fighter, you have to have them learn one discipline, and they can only learn one discipline. What discipline are you having them learn? How about this? Because, like, the answer to the everyday life, if you say anything besides jiu-jitsu, you're wrong. Because every fight ends up on the ground. So if you know what you're doing there, you're fucking money. You're good to go. But when you turn toward MMA, that's where it gets kind of tough. Because you have so many different styles. But I guess one that just pops into my head, man, I'm wanting my child to be safe. Like, I'm not them. I'm not wanting my child to weight cut at age of 12, that can't be good for them. So I'm throwing wrestling out of there, not picking wrestling. The head trauma is a little bit rough for a kid, so I'm not putting boxing in there either. Bro, how can you not go Taekwondo? Like, you look at Wonder Boy, you look at the way Holly Holm fights, you look at the way Kevin Holland fights, just the, like, space, like the wide stance, like Machida, like Showtime Pettis, like the wild kicks, great for distance. You have to go Taekwondo, man. That's what I'm picking. Like, there's not too much head force there. Like, a whole bunch of things are like body only, shit like that. So good range management, good place to get like your fundamentals down as a kid. I'm definitely going Taekwondo. All right, what's up, man? Answer that with ease.
Yeah, you brought the heat. You brought the heat. So I was actually, I actually thought about it probably like 5 minutes before we actually started. So, but hey, I was actually prepared this time.
Fair enough. Not a bad one for sure.
Definitely. Are you looking for me to answer?
Yeah, you have to answer your own question too, man.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, okay. Because honestly, I've still been kind of kicking it around a little bit too, so that's why I was kind of trying to deflect a little bit. But I think that, because honestly, you surprised me with that Taekwondo answer, because I thought you would have went some type of. Because honestly, I think I would have to say wrestling. Out of all of them, just because that's going to be to where you can enforce your will the most is if you're a really good wrestler, able to get into the single legs, double legs. Now, as far as everyday life, I would say jiu-jitsu, of course, just because it's going to be the easiest thing. Most normal people end up on the ground. Most normal people don't know what they're doing on the ground. So, jiu-jitsu is definitely the one I would choose in everyday life. And then in MMA, I would have to say probably going towards wrestling at first, just to so you can establish your dominance, and then you're able to control the fight to where you don't take as much damage. So I think that if I had to choose one discipline that I had to basically carry out throughout my whole mixed martial arts career, or my child's mixed martial arts career, definitely wrestling.
But if they don't know how to do anything else, man, that's where I'm like, man, wrestling is tough. Like, yeah, you can get them down there, but if that, you're gonna look. You will get past a lot of competition due to athleticism, but if they run into one person that knows how to defend takedowns, that's got them hands, they are in trouble. They are in trouble because they can't learn anything else in your rule set, so it would be interesting. Dorian brought some heat this week. I picked Taekwondo. He picked wrestling. Luckily, we do not live in this world, and you're allowed to learn everything. I don't know if my man Dorian is currently teaching his daughter anything like that, but if not, he should be wrestling around with her, showing her eye gouges, things of that nature.
Definitely had to show her the ropes. I show her all the leg sweeps and all that good stuff, man.
All right, so cool. All right, man. Anything else for today, dude? Or that's about it, dude. We've been kicking it on here for a while. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm tapping out.
All right, man. All right. So that is it for us over here. Once again, please put a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. Share this with everyone that you know that enjoys MMA, UFC. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And once again, if you agree with us or disagree with us, thought anything we said was funny, or you have anything that you just want to like to mention to us, please put it in the comments below and we'll get back to you. Aside from that, man, long week, great weekend coming up. Just ready to get out of here, man. Just ready to get out of here. That's all from us over here. Make sure you stay golden.